Let's talk about corruption. You hear it all the time, right? It's a problem for governments, for giant corporations. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the real root of the problem and the solution starts a lot closer to home? Today, we're digging into where corruption really comes from and how we, yes, you and I, can actually be the ones to stop it. And hey, before you click away thinking, oh, great, another political debate, just hang on a second, because this is not about parties or politicians or pointing fingers. This is a discussion about us, about the future we're actually building, right now, for our families and our communities. And it all begins when we stop seeing corruption as someone else's problem and start seeing it as our own. To really get this, we have to completely redefine what corruption even is. Forget this smoke-filled backrooms you see in the movies. This is much more personal. At its core, it's a problem of the heart. I mean, just let this sink in for a moment. It's not about the money. It's about what that money represents. It's about stolen values, stolen trust, and, wow, stolen futures. It goes so much deeper than just cash. So yeah, the simple definition is dishonesty for personal gain. But if you dig down past the greed, past the power trips, you find the real root. And it's a lack of integrity. That is the real virus. That's what we're actually fighting against. And here's the thing about this virus. It doesn't start in some big, fancy government building. Nah. It starts with the smallest little seeds planted in everyday moments we barely even notice. Think about it. It often starts where we learn our first habits. In school. Have you ever heard a parent say something like this, almost with pride? They're praising their kids' discarte, their street smarts, their ability to find a way. It sounds like a good thing, but what's really being taught? That bending the rules, finding a loophole, that's a skill to be proud of. It's literally dishonesty in training. So that kid grows up, and that cleverness follows them right into the workplace. And now it's got a new name. It's got a justification. Everybody does it anyway. You've heard that, right? It's the phrase that makes it okay to pad an expense report or underreport your income. It's the sound of personal responsibility just evaporating into thin air. Which brings us to the ground zero of it all. The most important training ground there is, our homes. Because this is where the most critical lesson is taught. And it boils down to one crucial difference. Are we telling our kids, don't get caught? Or are we telling them, don't cheat? Think about that. One teaches them to be smarter about doing the wrong thing. The other teaches them that the act itself is the wrong thing. Our homes are the first school for either integrity or corruption. Okay, so all these little things, these tiny compromises, they start to add up. And the true cost isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in something way, way more valuable: human lives. There's this story from our source material about an engineer talking about road construction. He says, it's just a small thing, only 2 inches. 2 inches less asphalt than there's supposed to be. A small thing, right? But you take those 2 inches from thousands of kilometers of roads, suddenly, you're talking about billions of dollars lost. And more importantly, you're talking about roads that crack, bridges that fail, and people's lives put at risk. The scale of this is just staggering. Some estimates suggest that a full 20% of an entire national budget can be lost to corruption every single year. That means for every $5 meant for the public good, $1 just disappears. So where was that money supposed to be? It was for our schools, our hospitals, our roads. That 20% is taken directly out of the services that we all need to survive, to get ahead, to live. And let's be perfectly clear, this is not some abstract number on a spreadsheet. That lost money, that's the medicine that could have saved a child in a rural clinic. It's the hospital wing that never got built. It's the school supplies that never arrived. Corruption quietly kills. So if the cost is so unbelievably high, why does this keep happening? Well, it turns out there's a system to it, a kind of toxic cycle that keeps feeding itself. It really comes down to 4 things working together. It starts with simple greed and a sense of entitlement. Then that's backed up by a culture that just kind of tolerates it. We look the other way, or maybe even admire the person who gets away with it. This happens because our values aren't being built on a strong foundation from a young age. And finally, the whole thing is locked in place by a total lack of accountability. When nobody pays the price, the cycle just spins on from one generation to the next. Okay, that's the diagnosis. It sounds pretty bleak, I know. But here's the hope, and this is the most important part of our entire discussion. If corruption is a learned behavior, well, then it can be unlearned. The solution isn't some new law passed in a faraway capital. It starts right here, with us, at home. So how do we do it? We build a culture of integrity, step by step. We start teaching it early. And, this is the big one, we have to live it ourselves. We have to be transparent. We have to hold each other and ourselves accountable. We need to make sure our schools are hammering these values home. And then, maybe the hardest part, we have to encourage real courage. The courage to do the right thing, especially when it's the hard thing. Speaking of courage, this quote comes from a teacher. She caught her own son cheating on an exam. Instead of covering it up, she let him fail. Can you imagine how tough that was? But she knew something profound. His integrity was way more important than a passing grade. That right there, that's what courage looks like. And that's really what this all boils down to. Corruption isn't some inevitable force of nature. It's not our destiny. It is a choice. A million little choices made every day. And that means that integrity is also a choice, one we get to make every single day. Look, none of us can change the entire system overnight, but every single one of us has absolute power over the example we set tomorrow. So this final question, it isn't for a politician. It isn't for a CEO. It's for you. The most powerful anti-corruption law in the entire world is a parent's example. What will yours be?